And if we could have a quick roll call, please. I'll start with myself, John Arnold.
Matthew Bulmer.
Thank you.
Barb Jefferson.
Thank you.
Justine Brotherston.
Thank you.
Jeff Bunn.
Thank you.
And Hillary Miller.
Thank you very much. We do have a quorum, so I will call this meeting to order as duly constituted. I guess I have to read the electronic meeting protocol, do I not? Yes. Please note the meeting is video and audio recorded, and all electronic meetings are uploaded to the municipality's YouTube page. By registering to participate in the meeting by electronic means, you are consenting to have your likeness and comments recorded and posted on YouTube. The next item is to confirm the agenda. Are there any additions or amendments to the agenda as presented? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda as presented. And Justine, could you read the resolution for that motion, please?
Yes, that the Heritage Committee approves the May 13th, 2022 agenda as circulated.
Moved.
I so move.
I'll second.
Thank you. Approved. Or I should say all in favor.
In favor.
In favor.
Unanimous. Thank you. Approved. Are there any pecuniary interests to be disclosed? Matthew?
Oh, no, Mr. Chair.
Barb?
None from me.
And none for myself. The next item is the approval of the minutes of April the 4th. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented unless there are any errors or omissions?
Also move.
Thank you, Matthew. Barb?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Oh, wait a minute, we need a resolution for that. Justine, you're on again.
Perfect. That the minutes of the April 4th, 2022 meeting be adopted as written and distributed.
Thank you. We've moved and seconded that. Approved. All in favor?
In favor.
In
Opposed?
favor.
None. Approved unanimously. Is there any business arising from those minutes? If there is none, then we can move to item number 8, the consent agenda.
Oh, John, just so you know, Mary has now joined the meeting.
Oh, wonderful. Hi, Mary.
Hi, sorry, I had some technical difficulties.
No, not at all.
The little logo of a guy with a pitchfork, you know?
Well, that's appropriate for the country, isn't it?
It's
Anyways, no, we're just the starting items. Unless you had any comments on the minutes, the prior minutes,
no, thank you.
for the agenda, we've approved that through. We're through to item 8, the consent agenda, which I presume that's the agenda we're working on at this point in time, Justine.
Yeah, so there's no items for the consent agenda for
Right.
this meeting.
Is there any correspondence to be presented?
No, there's no correspondence.
No
for this meeting.
correspondence, thank you. And there are no delegations at this meeting. So we'll move to the committee reports. And I'm not sure, Justine, how do you want to handle that? Do you want to go through that application? I mean, I think we've all read it.
Yeah, I'll just give you kind of a brief overview of the report and then what we'll be looking for if that works for you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the purpose of this report is to seek comments from the Heritage Committee to provide to Council regarding an application for a partial demolition of a heritage structure at 6872 Wellington Road 34, which is listed on the Heritage Register. So on April 29th, 2022, the township received a heritage structure demolition application for 6872 Wellington Road 34. The applicant is seeking to remove a garage and 2 enclosed porches, which were built in the 1970s, as indicated by the applicant. The applicant has identified that the main portion of the home, which contains the original stonework and molding, will be maintained in its original form. So the Heritage Committee is being asked to provide their comments to council regarding whether the applicant should be permitted to demolish or remove the building/structure and why or why not.
Thank you. Matthew, perhaps we can start with you. Do you have any comments about this?
No, I think it makes sense. I must admit, when I think back to the discussion we had previously about a letter we received about a property on Downey Road, I can see how the language of the act and how we think about the in quotes properties on the registry created confusion for myself. Again, even when I read this report, having to separate the property from the buildings, and yet the act ties ties them all together. So the features looking to be removed have nothing to do with the heritage features that I think the registry was intended to protect. Because they're on the same property, it requires the same permissions. This is how I read the report, and perhaps staff can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's just the wording of the act that ties these non-heritage features that are on the same property as the heritage feature. Even though they may be attached to the heritage feature, they have no intrinsic heritage value in and of themselves. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So it's a tricky parsing job that you have to do in your mind. And for those who aren't familiar with it, reading this quickly might lead one to believe that the whole thing is coming down, but understanding that it's just these 2 non-heritage features, I don't have a problem.
Great, thank you. Barb? Do you have any comments?
I concur with Matthew's assessment of the property and agree that the additions to the original heritage stone house that were erected in the 70s have no heritage value and do not enhance the value of the stone structure. As well, I would like to commend the owner or whoever wrote this application. I think they did a very good job in addressing the act and in demonstrating exactly what features were to be removed and what features were to be retained. I think this is a great example of a request for altering structures adjacent to a listing on our heritage registry.
Thanks, Barb. I agree. I think it's very well presented. Mary, do you have any comments?
Yes, I do. I agree with Barb. I was quite impressed with the integrity of the application and the thoughtfulness that they obviously applied to presenting it. With designated buildings, one lists heritage attributes so that people who own these buildings are aware of what needs to be protected and what is available for disposal, I suppose you might say, or alteration. And I think that with time, we might be able to do that with the buildings that are listed, so that when I looked at this application, I thought if we had that information compiled already, this could have been an administrative decision, I think, or at least a decision between the administrator and the chair. I mean, that might be a project for the future.
Yeah, good comment, Mary. Thank you very much. And I think you raised a very valid point there that this is something that going forward, we may be able to do that, but it's definitely something that's worthy of further discussion. And I totally concur with the comments made by the members of the committee. So on that note, can we have a motion to
just before we do that, I just wanted to share what I had taken as kind of the theme of the comment and just show you the comment that would be sent to council
Okay,
for their
thank you, Justine.
consideration.
Okay,
So the way that I've written is just that the Heritage Committee supports the applicant's request for partial demolition as presented in the application for 6872 Wellington Road 34.
any comments?
Yes, if Justine, is it possible to insert into that statement the partial demolition of non-heritage features? Or non-heritage attributes. Maybe that would be a better term than features.
Thank you, Mary. Very good. Okay, with that being presented, if we could have a resolution, Justine, if you could read the resolution to approve the report, please.
Yes, that staff report HR 2022-11 regarding the application for partial demolition on a property listed on the Heritage Register 6872 Wellington Road 34 be received for information, and further that the Heritage Committee's comments be forwarded to council for consideration at the May 25th, 2022 regular council meeting.
Thank you. Moved.
I move.
Thanks, Mary. Seconded.
I'll second.
Thanks, Barb. Any comments? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Approved
All in
unanimously.
favor, yeah.
Approved unanimously. Thank you. The next item is the report for the revision to the Heritage Registry regarding a description of 4347 Concession 14. Justine, would you like to comment on that or give us a
Sure.
report on that, please?
So the purpose of this report is to seek comments from the Heritage Committee regarding a request to update information currently included on the Heritage Register for 4347 Concession 11. Following the adoption of the Post Lynch Heritage Register on December 15th, 2021, the township sent out notifications to all properties listed on the register that they were included. So in response to that letter, we received an email from the owner to a committee member, and based on the property owner's research, the current owner feels that it would be more appropriate that the description be the Peter McLaren House or simply the McLaren House. The Heritage Committee is being asked to either refer this matter to the Heritage Register Subcommittee for further review, or to provide a recommendation to council regarding updating the Heritage Register description for 4347 Concession 11.
Thanks, Justine. We'll start again, just follow the same pattern we have been, please. Matthew, do you have any comment on that?
I certainly appreciate the research that the resident has done on this. This is very, very helpful. I have no way of knowing whether it's correct or not. Unfortunately, I don't know. I don't have any, other than I guess I could pull out the atlas to do some research, but I was wondering if this is an opportunity to engage the Post Lynch Historical Society to confirm what we're being told here, unless another member is able to confirm it independently as well. Because I think this is an excellent suggestion, and I'm really pleased the resident is engaged in the process to make the registry more accurate. But other than that, that's my only comments.
Thanks, Matthew. Barb, any thoughts?
I concur with Councillor Vollmer. Again, we have communication from a Post Lynch resident, which is absolutely stellar. The fact that they have shared with us the background information they have gleaned about their property. I think Matthew's point is well taken. It should probably be scrutinized or validated against the information we have. But how lucky are we to have another resident engage with us and support this incentive? And really, it's only been since December that we've started this, so I'm thrilled. In line with the homeowners question and reasoning, I would like to see the name changed on the registry to McLaren House. Leave whatever we
Thanks, Barb. Mary?
Hi, well, I actually did do research on this house, and I was the one who changed it from James to Peter. And the reason for that was that at the time the house was built, Peter was 74. And I made the executive decision that it would have been much more likely that his son, who was then, I think, in his 40s or 50s, had arranged for this house to be built. However, in subsequent conversations with the property owner, who has done all this thorough research, I bow to his the depth of his research, and I'm quite willing and prepared to have it changed back to Peter. And the reason that I like to use a first name to define in that way is simply that perhaps not with the name McLaren, but certainly in this township, there are many names that are show up on the same names that show up on property lots, the same last names. And I think it's good to be as specific as we can. So I would recommend that we follow his request and change it to Peter McLaren.
Barb, do you have any comments on that?
I do. Mary has explained the reasoning very well. I agree with her reasoning that if we can be as specific as we can with this listing, it's a better way to go forward. So I would like to change my original suggestion from McLaren House back to Peter McLaren.
Okay. Matthew?
I agree.
Okay, and I concur as well. So on that note, Justine, could we have a motion to approve the report and follow the recommendations, or we recommend that we follow the suggestions of the respondent?
Sure. So that'll be that staff report HER 2022-12 regarding the revision to the Heritage Register regarding the description of 4347 Concession 11 be received for information. And further, that the Heritage Committee recommends to Council that the Heritage Register be updated to change the description of 4347 Concession 11 from James McLaren House to Peter McLaren House.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to approve the resolution?
I so move.
Thanks, Mary. Seconded.
I'll second it.
Thanks, Barb. All in favor?
In
Aye.
favor.
In favor.
Approved unanimously. Okay, and this is the next item is 11.3 is a point that John Levac brought up, which I think had some validity. And basically, if I can summarize his comments, he'd like to see fewer of these short called meetings, and we all understand why this had to be done the way it's been done, but going forward, wondered if we could schedule special meetings on a more regular basis or something to that effect, rather than calling for, you know, a very short term, which he unfortunately had other commitments and couldn't make. That's the background of this request. Justine, perhaps, I think you had some comments, and I know you made some suggestions on it. Could you perhaps share that with the committee, please?
Yeah, so I have a brief verbal report. So I would just like to begin this report by noting how important the comments that council and staff receive from this committee are. Council and staff really value all the input that this committee provides on such a wide range of heritage topics. And for this reason, when items connected to legislated timelines arise, staff work quickly to compile all the required information and set the special meeting in order for committee to provide these comments to council. So staff understand that the committee would like as much advance notice as possible for these special meetings. Ultimately, council is responsible for setting the rules and regulations that govern our meetings through the township's procedural bylaw. And so in extreme circumstances in our procedural bylaw, special meetings could be called, on one day's clear notice. But as I know, that's a really extreme circumstance. So we've noted the comments that have been provided in advance of this meeting, and we will always try to provide as much notice as is reasonable. And we really appreciate that your patience when we aren't able to give the lead time that you'd like to see. However, in the event that a special meeting is called and a committee member is unable to attend, I do just want to reiterate that they can send their comments to be read out at the meeting. So there will always be an opportunity to provide input, even if they can't be in attendance. So again, I would just really like to thank you for your understanding and just know that staff are, taking this to heart and this consideration.
Thanks, Justine. How much of that report is going to approve? Is that your summation, the report that we're being asked to approve here?
Yes, yeah. So this is really just for information. There would be no procedural change.
Okay, so could you read the resolution to approve the report?
Sure,
Please.
just give me 1 second. So that the verbal staff report regarding review of scheduling special meetings be received for information.
That's short and sweet. Thank you
Short
very
and
much.
sweet.
Could someone move to accept the report, please?
I'll move.
Seconded. Thanks, Mary. All in favor? Aye.
In favor.
Approved unanimously. Now, is there any new business to be discussed here?
I
And
actually have a quick item.
I think, Justine, you have an item for.
I do.
Okay, please carry on.
So John Arnold is able to attend the Heritage Conference. So we're very excited about that. And so with that, I just had a resolution that I wanted the committee to consider. And it would be that the Heritage Committee approve the expenses incurred by John Arnold as permitted under the expense policy to attend the Heritage Conference using the committee's accommodation and training budget. So just for reference, it is a relatively small budget, so this probably would use up the budget for this year.
I think it's going to go substantial. Justine, if I could just interject there, I believe it'll go substantially over that, and I'll cover the cost of it. But I think the conference is going to be very well attended. I had to search around to get accommodation, and it certainly, they weren't giving any of it away. In addition, I've been back and forth on that highway over the last 2 weeks, 3 times. It's a long way. So I'm not sure what the mileage policies are for the travel, but I'm sure that the mileage, with the price of gas today, the mileage will probably eat up the entire budget. However, that's a side issue. Okay, if it's appropriate, could we have someone move and second the approval of my attending the conference?
Move.
Thanks, Mary.
I'll second it.
Thanks, Barb. All in favor?
I have a comment.
Oh, I'm sorry, Matthew. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I might propose, if I could just have the motion read again, and I might propose a friendly amendment to the wording if possible.
Certainly, that the Heritage Committee approve that the expenses incurred by John Arnold as permitted under the expense policy are covered by the Heritage Committee's accommodation and training budget.
Thank you. Just this is a nitpicky little thing, but
For sure.
as the Heritage Committee is primarily an advisory committee and we don't have authority to approve expenditures, might I suggest that we change the word approve to support or something of that type? Just because it's up to someone else to approve these expenses. But from what you said, this would use up the budget that might affect the rest of us. So it's basically, we're saying it, the rest of us were okay with the entire budget being used up by one member.
Certainly.
This is a slight side issue. Since we haven't used any budget for the last 2 years, I think we should get a little bonus here.
Yeah,
Anyways.
thanks.
Okay, we've moved, seconded, all in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, carried. Now, there was something else with, oh yes, within that, just for the committee's information, I've gone through the suggested agenda, and I'm trying to pick all the items, all the sessions to attend that will that I think relate to us. I mean, much as I would like to do a tour of the oldest railway tunnel in Canada, or Ontario, I think it's probably Ontario or Canada, I'm not sure. Anyways, that kind of thing is wonderful, and a walking tour of, excuse me, Brockville might be wonderful. But there's a lot of technical stuff that's being discussed at this meeting that I think might have impact, and I've chosen to attend those, and I will report back to the committee. After attending these, I'll try and do a summation of what was discussed and how I think it might affect our going forward here in Puzzlinch. So that's just for the information of the committee. Okay, is there any further new business? No. Any announcements to be made?
Yeah, so I think we'd just like to make one announcement. So if I could invite Hillary to turn on her video. Perfect. So I think we just wanted to say a really big thank you to Hillary for all the work that she's done with the Heritage Committee over the last couple of years, and just recognize her kind of as we make this transition. So thanks so much, Hillary.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Hillary.
You guys have been great. I miss you. You're in good hands with Justine, so I know she's looking forward to it. So yeah, it's been good to chair or be the committee secretary for the last, I think, 2 years. So
Yes, and I must apologize. I didn't introduce Justine to the committee. So here is our new secretary. And you've met all the committee members now, Justine, and I do apologize. And Hillary, I want to thank you very much too. It's been great working with you, and as they say, all the success in your new endeavors.
thank you, John.
Any other announcements?
If I can make a comment, please, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Barb. Of course.
I too would like to congratulate Hillary. I wish you the very, very best as you go forward with your career. And thank you for helping us for the past 2 years. It's the times we live in that we never got to be in the same room with you.
Not once.
No, I know.
I'm very regretful about that, because we've had some great discussions. We've had some interesting topics, and we've certainly streamlined with your help the way we function as a committee. So thank you so much.
Oh, thanks, Barb.
Very welcome. And Justine, welcome.
Thank you.
Yes. And I'd like to say ditto. Thanks, Hillary. Again, your organization was really helpful for us, really helpful in terms of goal setting and timelines. And Justine, I appreciate your interest in getting up to speed with this, even though it means
you.
a million meetings for me.
Thanks, Mary. Anyone else have any comment they'd like to make? If not, I'd call for a motion to adjourn the meeting. And Justine, if you could read that motion, please.
Oh, I think Matthew wanted to.
Oh,
say
I'm sorry,
something.
Matthew.
I was just
sorry.
waving goodbye to Hillary.
Oh, just wait. Okay, perfect.
I couldn't see. My angle. Sorry, my apology. My screen was at the wrong angle. I couldn't see that you wanted to make a comment. My apologies.
Okay, perfect. I think he was waving by. So I can read out the final motion so that the Heritage Committee adjourn at 1:32.
So
Thank
moved.
you. All in favor? Aye. Carried unanimously. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.